Good morning. I am going to show you something I worked on yesterday. I decided to do some pre-made journals. So when there is a challenge, I have a few ready. I've made 6 in total, and I'm going to show you the last one I just made. And sometimes they come out better than others. Sometimes the papers are really thick and they're hard to fold. So basically, the first photo it showed you, I screenshotted it from somebody else's photo who described how to make these a lot better than I ever could. And I will see if I can find that video. And this particular one that I made right now, the paper is way too thick. It does not score well at all, and it's textured. I kind of pushed it on this one, and I made it work. But yes, you want thick paper, but you want to be able to, if you're going to use a scoreboard, you really need to be able to do it without puncturing the paper by getting it to score. And some of my scores were not great, and I ended up having to redo them. And because it's a 1/4 inch around on 3 sides that you score. And then you give yourself a little bit of a binding, which is usually a 1/4 of an inch, unless you're doing a really thick one, and then, go a little bit more. So I did a 1/4 on 3 sides. Down the center, you have 2 parallel score marks there, a 1/4, 3/4 apart, whatever you want to do. And then depending on how tall your papers are, then you're going to do a crease for the pocket. So I normally do mine 8x5, 8x5.5, 8x9, just depends on what pattern paper I have. So this one is, after you fold everything over, the inside papers are just shy of 8 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. So that's what this one is. And occasionally you'll be in a groove. Like yesterday, I made 5 of them. And then this morning I recorded another one because I didn't record anything yesterday because I was just kind of working. And I'm like, oh, you guys might want to see how you make these. And when you fold these over, or any of these papers, it does not need to be precise. And you can trim them afterwards. If they ended up being too bulky or too long, you didn't fold the crease straight, it's very forgiving. And by the time you add your trims and your embellishments and everything, nobody knows your paper isn't straight. It's a junk journal. It doesn't have to be precise. Yes, you can be more precise than I am. I figure this is just the skeleton of them. It doesn't have to be, and you can see I'm recreasing some of these because they were not. And then if you have really crisp, straight edges and your paper is not textured, glue or tape is fine to fold these seams over. What I ended up doing on a few of them is, the first 2 I think I did was just tape, and then as I got textured paper, I glued some of them, and then the ones that really didn't stick all that great, I did washi tape over the fact afterwards. Or if I just liked the washi tape because it was a cool washi tape and I wanted to use it to project that theme, I usually, the folded pockets are usually where I keep my journal prompts in. Or if I'm going to, okay, this prompt's coming up, I will keep what I plan on using in those pockets. Now, being there's 8 pieces of paper, and I always want to make sure that paper is double-sided so it's not white on the other side. No, it doesn't have to have a pattern on each side, but I do like it a solid color. And white is just boring. Just no, don't do it. White is for chopping up and using it when you glue down. Can't do the white. But if you have pattern paper, then you could do anything on it. But yeah, each one of these books takes 8 12 by 12 pieces of paper, and then whatever you want the front design. And remember, when you flip up the bottom, it's going to be upside down. So either do a pattern that doesn't matter, or a pattern you don't care if it's upside down on the flat part. These particular ones I only did 2 eyelets in. You can do more, but it's not 100% necessary. And I did 3 on my July junk journal, but I think 3 was excessive. It didn't necessarily, in this particular eyelet tool that I'm going to be showing you shortly, cannot reach into the center. So, and I love it. It makes setting eyelets awesome, as opposed to that little springy tool that doesn't always work the way I want it to. So I figured 2, just, an inch up from each side, will hold my papers down just fine. Now, if I was doing these journals for a theme, something that I wanted to keep forever, not that I'm saying I won't keep the junk journals forever, but let's say Alice in Wonderland, or if I was planning on selling any of these, I probably would have used a better binding, and I would have gotten my binding template out and made it pretty. But these are just pre-made. So if someone next month says, oh, let's do a Mardi Gras theme, or vampires, or who knows what the theme would be, I'm ready. I just go pick out one of these out of my stash. I got 6 pre-made. Okay, which one do I want to use? And I'm ready. So, and with 7, it is 28. Yeah, is that right? 7 times 4, 28 pages. Then you figure you do have the front cover, the back cover, the inside cover of the back, outside back. You can always do a flip. You can do a pocket. There's plenty of room to do 31 prompts. So I didn't think I needed any more paper. I'm kind of pushing the boundaries as it is, because this particular, I didn't use any thin papers in this one. My other ones, some of them I did some vellum and some thinner paper just to keep the bulk down. And this one, I had set these floral papers aside because I was going to do a wildflower themed one for junk journal. But then I ended up doing the one I did, and I set this aside, and I'm like, no, let's make the journal. So I set aside the papers, and I probably, I just made 6 of these, and they each, took 8 sheets of paper. Yeah, I just used up 48 pieces of paper. And did that make a dent in my collection? No. It did make a dent in my double-sided paper, though. So that I'm glad of. I've had these papers. Most of them are Club Scrap. And if you were a member of Club Scrap, you will recognize a lot of these papers. I have very few, because when I go to the store, I don't normally look for double-sided paper, and most of the pads I buy are not double-sided. There's a few. Some of the textured beaded papers that came in a paper pad, and they're all homemade papers, lots of beads. Those were not Club Scrap, but for the majority of them, they are. And yes, I'm not really describing. The first picture I had screenshotted was the diagram of how you make this, with where the scores and the cuts are. And of course, I'm not really in frame the absolutely entire time. And these little clips from the Dollar Tree, I need another little pack of the little ones. They are very useful, and they hold down things while the glue is setting, which of course we know it only takes a few minutes to set the glue. But on these textured papers where I probably should have made a bigger fold down area so the paper held more, but it doesn't end up mattering. By the time the glue, and then I added some washi tape just for peace of mind that it was not going to come unraveled with time, because I don't know when I'm going to be using this. And then if I don't like the washi tape later or whatever, I can glue another piece of paper in over it. I can cover it up. It's all good. So, and I do find it useful when you do fold up the pockets, reinforce them with tape and glue, because you want to make sure they're sturdy. And then you can ink the edges now, or you can wait until you decide what your theme is. I did not ink any of these right now until I use them, because I don't know if they're going to be modern, if they're going to be distressed, if they're going to, what kind of, I don't know what vibe I'm going to go for. So I don't want to predetermine that. And you never know. I might want to use glitter. I might want to use gel pens. I might want to keep it natural and not do anything at all, or spray them. I don't know yet. So my editing software can't really see the whole entire page, so I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. I do know that my son started talking because I'm doing this on the dining room table. Dining room craft table. The dining room table is now in the living room, but I kept getting distracted, so I have muted the noise in the background. My husband started talking to me. My son started talking to me, but I'm like, they're not going to talk so long that I need to stop the recording. I'm just going to mute the original soundtrack on this and just do a voiceover. Add some music and be done with it. So just adding some Hello Kitty and Friends tape. I like them nice soft muted colors that go with these wildflower pages. I do miter the edges on the top corners. On the bottom, I square them off, but that's just personal preference. And then I'm going to go dig through all my eyelets and see what I have. And I'm measuring it to confirm what size I want to cut the papers to. And I got distracted. My husband was talking to me, and some of the papers that I cut, you'll see I'll have to retrim them because I made them just short of 9 inches, not 8 inches, because I wasn't paying attention. Although I'm glad I cut them too big, not too small. But 3 of them I ended up having to trim another inch off because I'm like, this is going to overlap. And I do have quite a bit of scraps of all these papers that I'm sure I will find a use for. Although I might have to find a bigger box for the larger scraps, because I try to keep it no bigger than a shoe size box, the clear plastic bins of scraps. I think I'm exceeding that space now after this project. And some of these I cut, when I was cutting it, trying to decide which piece I'm using and which piece I'm cutting off. some of them I tried so I could use it and you still knew what it was. If I was trying to decide, okay, this is going to be, what am I cutting off? And some of my other, like the geometric prints, since it's 11 inches, and when you fold in half, it's 5.5 inches each side. But I didn't want to, so I ended up taking a 1/2 inch off the top and a 1/2 inch off the bottom, so the design was balanced. I have been needing a new blade for this paper cutter for forever. And you will see what I mean on one of the other journals. At the end, I will do flip throughs of the other ones I made. And it was homemade tie-dyed paper. And I was using my zigzag trimmer. And, it it totally tore up the paper. It tore up the paper on this one too. I finally took photos of the blades that I need replaced, so when I go to the craft store, I can get the correct blades, because they're not cheap. I mean, they're not expensive, but I don't want to buy 2 of them, one of each possible one that it could be, and then have to return them. I hate returning, and I never do it. I end up just gifting it away if I don't end up using it. I used to have a guillotine. It was huge. It was like teacher quality back in the day, but I'm like, no. And this is where you can see, or maybe I didn't show everyone. I'm like, at first I'm like, okay, can I use them all different sizes? Nope. They were 1, 2. I don't want them hanging over the edge. I don't mind the papers are different sizes, but not when they don't fit my book. It was no big deal to cut them again. But I was like, okay, here I am recording, and I'm like, of course I messed up, but that's okay. And I love these papers. And I hope whatever I decide to end up doing in this book, I don't cover them up too much. But the good thing about these are just solid colors on the back side, so I can do smaller projects on the pretty side, and then, do a full page spread on the other side. I think the flowers would be really good with, maybe another fairy, some kind of soft, mystical creature type journal. I am not too precise on folding these. I just quick fold, a quick score if the paper doesn't want to flatten completely. I don't use the bone folder always. It just depends on how textured the paper is. Because if I do it and it's too textured, it ends up tearing the page a little bit more than I want to. And yes, 1 or 2 of these holes did not end up going flat on the, see, that one is not centered on the crease. It doesn't end up mattering. It's not precise. You don't have to be, which is why I love this so much. And it's pretty quick. I mean, I just usually put, YouTube on ones that are longer, especially building videos. I just put that on in the background and I work on this, or I listen to music, and pretty soon I'm done. I have caught up and did everything for July right now. All my videos are already recorded and set to play on the correct days. And I figured I would just pre-make things for August. And I'm not even sure I'm doing a journal for August. There is one August journal, I think, collab I'm thinking about doing. I've never done it before, and it's been going on for a while. I might join in on that, and I think I am going to put my floral shop wood my wooden floral shop model together, and then my regular monthly prompts when they come up. But you never know. I missed creating when I was on vacation, and I pre-made everything ahead of time, so I hadn't made anything in two and a half weeks. So yesterday I spent a lot of time at my craft table, and I put everything away. Not 100% happy with where everything is. I'm cutting twine now. Just needed a little bit more than twice the height. And I am going to thread this. The first couple ones I didn't put it on a needle, but then you have to put the thread through papers just one at a time. And then I realized, okay, why don't I just get a needle, and then I can just do the whole stack at once. Yes, it takes a bit of time to get the wax twine on a needle, but it saves so much time putting the needle through all the paper. It's well worth the extra time. I did buy a bookbinding kit off of, I think it was Amazon. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was Amazon. Super cheap. And then I ended up getting more supplies when I bought the bookbinding tool. And then my grandma had some binding supplies in her art stash that I inherited. So now I keep everything in one of my vintage tin cans on the hallway shelf. And I just keep everything in there, and then when I need to bind something, I just go grab the can and have it all there. Tie it in a knot, add glue to the first knot, then I tie it again, and the glue sets that, trim it up. And as you can see, every other page has the flower on it. Now I could have folded it in different, so we'd have flower to flower, but I kind of like the every other one for this. And I put a binder clip on it for the first couple hours just to keep everything so it doesn't spring open. And I'll do quick flip through of the ones that I made yesterday. And just Celtic paper, add a few paisleys in there as well. That maroon, the wrenches. And I have a lot of homemade papers and travel wrenches. And this one is a nautical. It can either go masculine, it can go beachy, but it doesn't have to. There's feathers in there as well. This one is the one where you can see that the papers did not cut very well with my straight blade or my curved one. So I just decided to go with it, and I ended up, the papers were just a little wide.